Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on A World Awakening tonight. If you happen to tune into Soul School in the previous hour, then you got to hear my rendition of how defiant I am. Sporting a new look tonight, having had my hair cut off by choice on my sister April's birthday anniversary. God bless her soul and God rest her soul. I wanted to express in her honor some of her fearlessness and feistiness. And I decided a couple of days ago on the 27th, I guess, yesterday. Wow. Seems like so much has happened. That I was going to participate in an act of defiance and tell the cancer that it's not allowed to take my hair, that I'll take my hair. And so I did that. And so here it is, and there that is. I think that we express strength in a variety of ways. And my guest tonight, Alex Gaska, is the personification of strength and resilience and fortitude, as are many women who I count among my friends. Interesting story before I bring her on. Many of you know that I'm friends with George Lopez, and he contacted me a few weeks ago, and he's like, I had this great woman on our show. She's just fabulous. You're going to love her. I have to connect the two of you. So he starts a three-way chat. That's how he introduced us. And she piped in and said, hi, I'm Alex. And we immediately connected. We started chit-chatting back and forth. And, within, I don't know, maybe an hour of us having coffee together, long distance, and just talking about different things. The phrase, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Well, George has a very high opinion of himself, And so he decided that we were getting on his nerves and that we would have to go off and go talk amongst ourselves quietly and not involve him anymore when he's the one that started the thread. Don't even get me going. So on that, especially in this day and age, so on that happy note, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Alex Gaska.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming, for accepting my invitation, and then for being so cordial and wonderful 2 weeks ago when you were actually supposed to be on the show, and we had that tragic accident in front of the house, and I had to be outside for a couple of hours instead of on the shows, and Bill was wonderful. Bill, I don't know if I thanked you enough for this and the spur of a moment, pulling down the 2 live broadcasts and plugging in rebroadcasts. And Linny, what she did to let people know that I was indisposed. She was so kind. She's like, I don't know what to do. So she said that we were having technical difficulties, but what we were really having was a tragedy. And so I went and did what I needed to do. And you were so gracious about it. You were so kind, and I appreciate that very much. It tells me everything I need to know about who you are at your core and in your soul.
Yeah, definitely. I could not understand with that situation, I understand how the universe and spirit works, and you were pulled to do something really great that night, even though it was very devastating, and I can put anything aside for that. So,
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell our viewers who you are, where you're from, what you do, why you do what you do, and how much you enjoy it.
Awesome. Okay. So, my name is Alex, and which you introduced me earlier, but, so I am from Western New York, and I'm actually a full-time professional psychic medium. I'm an empath, demonologist, paranormal investigator, and I'm an artist as well. Kind of jack of all trades. And kind of very similar to your story, Andrea. I grew up in a very, very haunted house and watched it have a failed exorcism. And I had already been a psychic medium. I had already been studying demonology, and that had just propelled me to go and help other people and get answers. And especially after my papa had passed away in 2014, and then now recently my father, I feel like that has just like connected me even deeper to spirit. And I desperately feel called to help people because it's a type of healing you can't go to a doctor for.
Right.
And people need that and deserve that, and it's healing me too as I go. So yeah, and yeah, people are actually mentioning saw paranormal. So yeah, I truly, after growing up in a haunted house where nobody believed you, my parents were like, is she mentally ill? They even, they were concerned, as parents should be, with the things I was seeing. I was having hallucinations. So they took me to get psychologically evaluated. Not once, not twice, not three times, multiple times. And nothing, I was old enough to show signs. I was going into middle school by that time too. I was old enough to show signs of any psychological or anything that could have, psychosis, schizophrenia, nothing. I had nothing going on. And then when that activity furthered to where it wasn't just towards me, it was that second stage of oppression to where nobody was excluded from. So once the exorcism had failed, I just went on to try and find more answers and to help people. And since then, I had been doing readings in my high school, and that just kind of flourished. I was helping teachers. They were actually leaving time in study hall and at the end of class for me to like read people. It became so popular in my high school. I would have teachers pulling me out, planning stuff, and we'd be filling up a whole Dunkin' Donuts with some of their families for me to practice on. And it kind of just grew into something. I never thought it would become my full-time job. It's still definitely a business and an up-and-coming thing that I'm building, but for good and not greed, So yeah, I've kind of I think I just found my purpose. There was a lot of little signs when I was a kid too. When I was really little, you know how you go to school and they have those little shops that you can get your parents for Christmas. You can go and like buy them stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, I was little and I had a few extra bucks that my mom had given me, and I was being selfish at that age, but I saw this book. It was a Judy Blume book with a psychic medium crystal ball on it. Mm-hmm. And I don't even like reading.
And in Florida now.
Is it? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wild.
Because the devil. Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh gosh. Yeah. So, I saw that. I don't even remember reading it, but there's just all these little details and connections. Just wild. Even after my papa passed away, I remember seeing a drawing in the mirror in the dust at my parents' house in my room. And I couldn't understand it. And it was a drawing. It was a stick figure, but it was a drawing of a girl with a hat on and really long hair, which now looks like pictures that I had taken the past few years. So it's really interesting. There's just been little signs that the universe and spirit has kind of left me to guide me on that path that I didn't even put the puzzle pieces together until, you're a day older and then you know more than you did yesterday type of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is an excursion. It is a journey. It's we each walk our own spiritual path. And, I often say that it's not vertical, it's horizontal.
Yeah.
Nobody's ahead of anybody else. Nobody's behind anybody else. There's an equivalency that exists in spirituality and in that process of the evolution of human consciousness. And, Yeah, so it is a process, and it is a slow, arduous, laborious process.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Oh, you're totally. It's the
Allergies.
season.
Yeah,
Yep.
tis the
I've been.
Yep.
Yeah. I've been so stuffy. I've been struggling with my allergies today, so I totally understand.
Yeah, okay. I'm in Georgia. Everything is in full bloom. I don't even want
Oh,
to hear about, upstate New York.
yeah.
You guys are weeks away from what we're going
I
through right
know.
now.
I should be knocking on wood so it doesn't, you
Yeah,
know, like
exactly.
hit me. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
exactly. Now it's one of the things when we were talking over the phone that I noticed about you was not only your appreciation and your patience with yourself. You gave yourself space and grace to evolve at the rate that you were supposed to. You didn't push it. You didn't rush it. You didn't resist it. You just let it unfold. And I think that that's a very beautiful process that would behoove more of us to give ourselves that kind of room to grow, because growing pains are a real thing.
Yeah.
And you had to find out the hard way. My parents, my father was like, this house is not haunted. That's all hocus pocus. This is not real.
Yeah.
And it took him 40 years to admit that he was seeing what we were seeing, and it scared the living daylights out of him.
Same with my father. It was, and especially he struggled with addiction. So once I was out of the house with my ability, he became the main target, and he was, yeah, I can absolutely relate. So it's just like, and it was funny because I always knew we were going to have this conversation and talk. And I was like, it's going to be weird. I'm not sure how. There's just been little trickles there. So it was funny. A year or two ago, I got a call from Frank Roberts that we made a friend with. And he was like, I want to talk about experiences that you had. They're similar. And he was like, I'm friends with Andrea Perrin and da-da-da. And I was like, I feel like there's going to be a weird connection here. And then George ended up being the one to connect us.
Yeah, George is pretty weird. There's no question about that. No, I love Frank too. I love George too. I love both of them. They couldn't be more different than they are. But yeah, I mean, if life finds a way, and we find a way to each other, and it could be any number of different reasons. I mean, just having your name dropped. I heard your name before I met you, and I didn't know anything at all about you other than you had an excellent reputation. That's all that I heard, and I might have heard that from Frank.
Oh, wow.
At the last time that I was at an event with him. I don't even remember. All I know is that you had already seeded it in my consciousness, and so that this was an inevitability.
Yeah, like it comes full circle, the way spirit guides people. And like how you were saying, I kind of gave myself space. I do wish that for everyone because, I didn't grow up with the easiest upbringing, and I wasn't always the most positive person. And I think like when life gives you lemons, I just, you kind of just have to make do. And it's like that. My spiritualism, it was my answer, and it was my healing, and it was my savior, honestly. And it helped me give myself that space and grace. And so I just feel like very drawn to help people get that within themselves too.
Have you used your artwork as an outlet in that respect?
Yes, I have. I actually use my artwork as an outlet for emotion and spirituality. I've used it for channeling. I've used it for giving people paintings of their pets. Angel wings there, actually. That was a spiritual one. And then, of course, the nun. That's a highly requested painting that people ask for a lot.
I have never seen that movie. I've never seen any of the Conjuring movies except the one about my family. I don't watch horror movies. I don't put anything like that into my consciousness. I I don't. I mean, the only horror movie I've ever seen in my entire life was The Conjuring because I had to.
Right.
And
Right.
that's it. Otherwise, give me a good Broadway musical or a wonderful British mystery, and I'm perfectly happy.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. I'm such a movie person. I can go all over with that too. So I've just a lot of people started to request horror movie paintings though. After that, they were like,
Cool.
"Can yeah, it's like whatever people request, I'll do commissions. I don't mind. I'll sell stuff I already have and I kind of leave that open. I'll go live on TikTok. I tell people you don't have to come to me to pay me. You can come and hang out and have coffee every morning and have a safe open space to talk and vent. You can come to me for a reading if you vibe with me. It's kind of like a therapist. You have to vibe with your therapist or your medium.
Yeah, and if you don't, it's a waste of time, and for a lot of
Yeah.
people, a waste of money.
Yes, absolutely, because you're not going to get that sense of relief if you don't feel an open sense of communication with that person anyways.
Exactly.
So yeah, I just kind of leave it open. You can come for art, you can come to on my lives to have coffee, you can come to me as for mediumship, you can come to me if you think your house is haunted. Yeah, I don't know. And that's been so healing to me because I really do love what I do and I'm a people person, like down to my core. So yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
you meet many needs, it's, and that's, I think that's truly important and really a gift. And it seems to me that you are so willing to give of yourself with such ease. And that's an openness that you have that I share with you. And so I know that the gift that I give of my own time and my own attention, my own thoughts, my own work, my writing, my whatever, that comes back to me in remarkable ways, just incredible ways. The friendships that I have built over my career with people that I would never have had the opportunity to meet and know and love if I hadn't taken the plunge into the paranormal, if I hadn't decided that it was time to tell my family's story, if I hadn't done that for whatever reason, inconvenient, fear of being ridiculed and belittled, not knowing, if there was any security in that endeavor for me or not. There are so many reasons not to do what we do in life, the things that we feel compelled to accomplish. Because we know, I think one of the greatest gifts is that moment when you realize what your job is on earth. When not mission accomplished, here's the mission.
Exactly.
Now you go ahead and start accomplishing it, piece by piece, one thing at a time. And that's what you do, but you do that with ease. And you've got a vibe. We have the same. Well, I don't know. My vibe's probably a little. You're more mellow than I am.
No, I'm not.
No, really?
Oh no, I'm a little psychopath.
Oh, good. Oh, excellent. See, I can totally relate. I have my psychopathic moments every day. Every day. I
literally
yell at the TV for something every day, and my little dog goes, I didn't do anything, Mom. I'm not mad at you. I am not mad at you. I'm mad at him. I'm mad at her. I'm mad about this. I'm mad about that. And sometimes I have to just leave her on the sofa and go out on the deck and just, and then it's out.
Because it's like that's human, we're spiritual beings and we can be spiritual beings all day long, but we're still living a human experience. So it's just like, I have no shame. I'll always tell people because they're like, you're so calm, you're mellow. Because it's like I'm tapping into my core self when I do what I love and what I'm doing, what I'm meant to do. And like, I think that's why the universe meets us halfway when we do what is right for ourselves and meant for our path. It's like things really do just come full circle. But I definitely have a mellow side to me because like I said, I'm tapping into my highest and best self when I am doing my work, but I'm definitely still human. So, a little bit of psychic, a little bit of psycho,
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like
really, just one letter off makes all the difference. Yeah, I get it.
it's like half and half tea, You're just
Yeah.
getting a little bit of both, and it's pretty good,
It's pretty good. Don't forget the honey. Don't
Exactly.
forget the
A
sweetness.
little bit of sweetener, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's a
absolutely.
good balance.
It is. It really is. I think that trying times call for us to rise to the occasion, to
Yeah.
be our best self. I tell people on my other show and this one constantly, reassure them that they're not going crazy, that this is the paradigm shift, that
Yeah.
every one of us is here to
Mhm.
expedite that process, for
Oh,
us
definitely.
to make that quantum leap out of 3D trapped in the eggshell
Exactly.
consciousness to pecking our way out
They're waking up. Yeah.
and wake up and break out of that shell and be able to ascend spiritually and psychologically, emotionally, even physically transform from being trapped in 3D to being able to ascend into 4D and 5D and beyond.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
lot of people are like, what is she talking about? And
Yeah.
then there's a whole bunch of other people that say,
Right on that level.
it.
Yeah.
That explains everything.
Yeah, literally. And it always, right, it depends on like current consciousness and information given at that time, right? But like, yeah, literally. And like it's because, as there is a big rise in dark energy, so it's calling everyone to do what they're meant to do, and now they're waking up. Because when dark energy rises, so does light.
Yes.
So it appears that that's definitely what's happening, and people are waking up, and they're like, what is going on? None of this is real, even though you can go on the CIA documents and you can read it.
Yep. This, and a lot of people are having to face very difficult conclusions, from this is not what I voted for to this is not what I expected the world to look like. I thought, why haven't we learned anything? Why is there another war? Why is there, devastation and destruction? And, and we see so much of what is difficult to watch that we become inured to it. I was doing some research back when I was in college, which was like a bajillion years ago, about the impact of the visual mediums, television, film, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And one of the statistics that I came across that I thought was fascinating and horrifying in equal measure was that between television, films, and video games, the average 11-year-old has seen 10,000 murders.
Yeah. Yeah. And people don't even realize.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like people don't realize, like, even if like your kids go to bed at night and they have something on TV, but then it turns to like nighttime and they're watching like murder document while they're sleeping, that vibration and that level of frequency, like what do you think your subconscious is doing with that then?
Yeah.
And it can open things, absolutely. So when people are like, oh, watching scary movies, can something happen? Yeah, because you're giving it recognition. You're striking fear into yourself. So if you don't do something to raise your vibration afterwards.
Well, even more than that, Alex, I think that you're relinquishing, that emotional aspect of yourself. You're empowering what is supposed to just be a tool of an emotion. Fear is that tap on your shoulder. Don't get in the car with that guy. Don't go down that alley. That's the purpose that it serves, and it's intertwined with instinct and intuition. But when we relinquish our power to fear and put it in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And let it make the decisions for us.
It's like manifesting that fear then. Yeah.
Exactly. And people think, they say, oh, it's such a low vibration. Actually, fear has a very high vibration. And the vibration of this planet right now is in megahertz, is off the charts. It's off the charts. But it's not because we're all happy and holy and holding hands and singing Kumbaya. It's because a 30-story building collapsed on hundreds of people today in Myanmar. And we all saw that happen on TV. And for those of us that possess a conscience, compassion, and empathy, we felt that.
Right.
We felt the sadness and the digging out of bodies. And we felt the pain of the people that we will never know, never meet, but they exist.
Yeah.
And so we felt that. When I see film footage out of Ukraine, I feel it. But when I see the decimation of Russian soldiers, I feel that too. You can't distinguish pain from pain is pain is pain.
People are people, and exactly, people are people, and it's like no matter who you are or where, it's like I always wish good health upon people because, like,
send some extra my way.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
doing really well, as you know, but still, I'll take all the help I can get.
I definitely will send you some good health. But I always wish people like good. I really do just wish the best for people. I've even gotten snippy when I'm like, why aren't you doing what you could do? Because I literally just want the best for people always. And it's like, regardless, you could be doing horrible things in life but like, it doesn't mean I want to see you get murdered or this or that. Like, so yeah, I always just wish good on everyone. And I would never watch the news. I never get into politics because for me, I'm like, people are people, and I'm going to wish good to everyone, and their energy is going to bring in whatever they are putting out, unfortunately. And it's
I'm your polar opposite when it comes to that. All my friends that say I never know what's going on, I don't pay any attention to it. My response to that is silence is tacit approval. I cannot be silent. And so I look at the world not only geopolitically, because politics factors into all life on the entire planet, but I also look at it exopolitically. Like our galactic family cannot intervene on our behalf. They cannot. They will not, because then we don't learn anything.
Exactly. That's truth.
If you have a baby that starts to grow up and it's time to teach them how to tie their shoes, but all you ever do is tie their shoes for them, by the time they reach adulthood, they don't know how to tie shoes. Mm-hmm. If you always were the one that did it for them, they learned nothing other than by watching you and maybe being able to replicate that process. So no, I stay fully engaged at all times, to my own detriment. I will admit it. I run to the fire. You run away from the fire.
With that particularly, yes, because and I am the same way, because I never judge people for being like open to that stuff either. Because again, everyone's at different places, and everyone, you know what I mean? And I'm very big on like perspective of other people. So I'm very much like, I can always see someone else's perspective, so I can always respect it.
Nope. I will say it now, and I'll say it 1,000 times before the week comes to an end. I have zero tolerance for willful ignorance, and Elon Musk can burn in a special hell that I would like to stoke the kindling. But that's just me.
I feel that way about animal abusers.
So do I. Oh, yeah.
That's something where I'm like, you know what?
Yep.
There's a special place for you, and it ain't here.
Yeah, and it ain't here. Yep, I know. That's like 2 weeks ago when I heard
Exactly.
you tear up on the phone when
I
I
did.
told you what happened in front of this house.
Yeah, I
I
did.
heard you choke up. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
I knew that you would have done exactly what I did. I know as difficult as it was, as painful as it was, that dog was in more pain than I could ever have been in.
Yeah.
And to go through that,
That's traumatic.
it is. It was traumatic for everybody that was involved. Everybody, the police, the animal rescue, the owner, the neighbor, my sister. We were like, that dog left this world knowing that she was cared for and loved. And I still
Absolutely.
don't know her name, and I never will. I didn't know her name. I couldn't even call her by her name, but she knew I loved her and that I was keeping her warm and helping her to the best of my ability.
She definitely did. And, as upsetting as it is, I've been in similar situations where I've actually, I have had dogs dying in my arms. And it's at that moment, it's just like, you know what, you give up whatever because they're the better species. They're not out here killing. They're not raping. They're not. And you know what?
Blowing things up and
Right.
sinking ships and killing all the animals in the ocean. And
Yeah, they're not abusing animals, like,
yeah, exactly.
or hurting kids or
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's where I'm like, yeah, I give up everything for animals because they're definitely the better species.
Yeah. And we all know why the Egyptians worshipped cats, don't we?
Oh,
Because they're not from here.
and that's why they will say that dogs are very sensitive to like lower energies, but cats, they pick up on everything. Everything. They will watch things with their everything. They're super in tune. My dog is super in tune to spirit. Don't get me wrong, but I've had a cat in the past, and that was in a completely different spiritual. Yeah, they're just they get all the vibrations and all the frequencies. And dogs are kind of like, sometimes you look at them and it's like there's nothing between those eyes, but some of them are very soulful.
Well, if you don't see anything between those eyes,
they haven't lived a lot of lifetimes.
They've drifted off into another place. Like my peanut butter cup is laying over here on my pillow. No, that's fine. Help yourself. She's snoring. She's sound asleep now. She no longer takes her responsibilities seriously because she used to co-host the show with me week in and week out, every week in my lap, up in my face, trying to lick the lip lard off my lips. And I could hold her up like, the Lion King showing the baby off, the baby cub off, the baby. And now she's like, oh, she's doing her show again. All right, I'll cop a nap. It's just an attitude. You've got dogs with attitude. You've got cats with catitude. Two totally, totally different things. And yet, they'll sleep in a pig pile together, which is,
right.
So what did they understand that we don't get? What did they understand that we don't get in terms of, growing up, I made peace with the other side. Mm-hmm. When I was 12 years old, 11, 12 years old.
Right, because you get used to that. You go through that, and then it's like...
We had to. As far as... And I was brokenhearted when my parents sold the farm. I thought I would live in that house my whole life. It was the only place that has ever felt like home to me, regardless of what kind of paranormal activity was going on in the house. Mm-hmm. I had a sense of belonging and a familial sense. And even though we never established any connection between our family and our ancestry and anybody that lived in that farm for 8 generations before we arrived, we were the first outsiders to ever live in that house. And yet I had a profound sense of belonging there, and I miss it every day. And it's a permanent part of my consciousness. It's a permanent part of my story.
I was gonna say that is a huge piece to the beginning of your journey in this lifetime. So that's what
Yeah.
it's just something you hold near and dear for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and my mom said before she passed away that she had no fear of death at all because she learned everything that she needed to know about life and death and the afterlife from the 10 years that we spent living in the farmhouse. You know,
Which her energy, I've got it, not to interrupt you. I remember our talk on the phone, and her energy is just, yeah. She, she's a very peaceful person.
yes, she's also a very strong person. And she used to tell us, fear the living, not the dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that it is, you know, those that are in a position to exert power over others that are the most dangerous.
Yeah, the powers of authority, because it's like that ego, and they get carried away with that, and it takes
Well,
them.
and greed. I mean, really,
Mhm.
there's a common denominator that exists not just here, but all over the world.
Yes.
You know, and that is, you know, anything. Uh, there's just nothing that will get in the way of somebody's desire for more money, as though they could take it with them. You know,
Yeah.
I don't get, there's an old stage play called You Can't Take It With You, which bears revisiting. I think societally people should rewatch it.
Yeah.
If they've never seen it, find it. Because it's a great play, and it's got a very important lesson. You know, the only thing, as far as I am concerned, the only thing worth doing with money, other than basic subsistence, you know, keeping a roof over your head, food on the table, gas in the car, is to do whatever you can to help other people.
Exactly. Like, if I always tell people, they're like, well, why would you want to get known for what you do? And I was like, because I'm doing who doesn't want to get known for doing what they love? And if it helps, it's for good, not greed. For good, not greed. And it's like, that's at the end of the day, love and authenticity are the key. That's like what matters.
Yeah, I often say if I could afford to give all my books away, I would.
Right.
I would.
Aw.
You know, I would. It's my livelihood, and it's literally my only source of income since I've been sick. I can't travel, and you know, it's been really difficult. I've had a couple of years now where I've kind of been off the road, and you know, I took a financial hit coming off of COVID, where everything that I was scheduled for was canceled within a 2-week period. I've been playing catch up since 2020, and you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I'll find a way. I always find a way. You know, and I make sure that and I'm sure the same is true of you too. I make sure when I sell my books that the people that I sell my books to, I engage with, I answer questions. I make sure that when I'm shipping books out, that there are gifts in the box. You know, there's something personal. There's a handwritten card. There's something for that individual, because it is our connection that will cause what is profound about the story to surface. And I don't know if you can say the same, but I can say for us as a family that I felt that in a way the film misrepresented the true meaning of the story, because I think of it as a love story with a wicked supernatural twist, and Hollywood thinks of it as a horror story, you know, about a loving family. And so it's kind of flipped on its face, you know. It's not representative of the film, is not representative of what really happened. The truth.
There's that Hollywood twist of
what
absolutely.
they think is acceptable. For, you know, societally acceptable.
What people want to see. Yeah.
Right. You know, and so they resort to method and formula and what filled theaters before this movie. Now we'll stick to that, you know, and that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I don't care. I I don't care.
It just would have been nice because you've written these books and it's like to represent the actual experiences and what it really, yeah, I can see it though, you know?
Yeah, I'm on it. Everything happens precisely when it's supposed to. And
Absolutely.
it's perfect time with purpose and reason to everything. There's no such thing as coincidence. In my opinion, that's a really fancy word to explain away the otherwise inexplicable events of life.
Agreed. I always say that. I'm like, there isn't coincidence because when you think about it, when that happened, what else happened within that day that just came full circle for you? And how do you explain that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, but you know, your experience was, I think, probably because your parents rejected your gifts, were suspicious of your gifts and concerned that maybe there was something wrong with you when essentially there was an awful lot that was right with you. And I know I've spoken about this a lot, and I think that that's part of the raising of our consciousness.
Absolutely.
Because if you raise your child to be honest and to tell you the truth and be able to trust you to tell you the truth, and then you say to that child when they tell you the truth, that didn't happen. That's a lie. That's your imagination. You were only having a dream. That's not real. Snap out of it and step into reality, kid. And what does that do to that child?
Exactly.
You know, the proper question is if you're the mother and the child comes out of the room and says, Grandma came and read me a bedtime story last night. Instead of saying, your grandmother died before you were born, that did not happen, you were dreaming, you were yada, yada, yada. Instead of saying that and shutting down that ability to communicate in that child with spirit that loves that child, the right and proper questions, the line of questions should be, she did? What did she read you? What was she wearing? Did she mention me?
Exactly.
How's she doing? Is she coming back? Did you sleep peacefully? Was it a nice visit?
And, you know, I think a big thing is, you know, my family's very like old school and traditional, and it was almost taboo to talk about these experiences still as I was growing up. But another thing that I noticed is that like you go to school and what do they teach you a lot of limits. So then you hear those things and it's almost like people don't know how to react to it because they're like, well, that's not real. And it's like, what, school taught you that? School taught you that wasn't real? Because they're not teaching you everything. They're teaching you the basics for what you need for life. They're not teaching you that stuff. So it's like, I do. Yeah, I see it a lot. I see parents that are like, you know, that kid, there's got to be something wrong, da, da, da. While to a degree, it's okay to get them psychologically evaluated, but it's also absurd to not hear your kid out. And because when you're a kid, you're a sponge and you also are limitless. You are not thinking. You haven't gone to school for all these years to be taught limits. So that's why kids, they're more susceptible to a spiritual or paranormal experience. They're just not closed off yet. The way the world had, you know, they haven't had these toxins in their body to close them off. They haven't had people limiting them. And so, yeah, to listen to your kids now I will say now, of course, as I grew older, my parents definitely came around and my mom's like my number one fan, but, it used to freak my father out. So,
but see, then again, Alex, what is the common denominator? Fear.
Absolutely.
Your dad was afraid. I'm sure your dad loves you very much and loved you when you were a child and was afraid that something was wrong with you because you were different.
Very, very. And, you know, they didn't have anybody else talking about that.
Right. It was very much a taboo subject, at least back in the 70s when we were having our experiences. It was definitely a taboo subject. I got threatened with expulsion from high school and I was a straight A student for talking about it in a classroom.
Oh my gosh.
So, I've had my traumas. I mean, when you're physically abused by the principal of your school, shoved up against a wall, slapped across the mouth, and told, don't you ever talk about this again, because if you do, you won't, not only will you not graduate from high school, you won't get into any college.
Yeah, because people just, they don't know how to react. And it's just...
No, and he was terrified, and he was very ugly, and he was very mean about it to me.
Yeah,
and
which I'm sorry you had to go through that.
I stopped thinking about it for decades. Outside of our family and our very small circle of friends that had actually had experiences in the house,
right.
It did not get discussed. And then it went off. Then I didn't care anymore. I just reached an age where I didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
Who said what, who believed us, who accepted it, who, just trashed us. I didn't care, because the story, the significance of the story was more important than any criticism that I might have received from telling it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like when you're in that moment experiencing anything, if you weren't there, you will never understand what it feels like to watch something happen that you weren't ever told about. And it's happening, but you were told it wouldn't ever really be real or happen. You question your reality in that very moment.
Oh, honey, I question my reality every day.
I know, right? It's like not even in that moment.
Day.
The moment I wake up. No.
Yep.
Yep,
absolutely. Well, you channel your emotions through your artwork. I channel mine through my writing, and doing this kind of exchange, and the thing that's wonderful is we don't have to agree about everything. Exactly. We don't, and I'm not just you, but any of my guests that come on. I don't select people because they maintain my exact point of view. I select people to come onto this show because they bring something else. They bring a different perspective, a higher perspective in some respects. People that I have had that have come on. Where did that sound come from?
I'm so sorry. That might have been
Was
mine.
that your phone?
It might have been. I kept trying to mute it.
It sounded like it came from behind me, which was very strange because I know that my sister took her phone to bed and my phone's right here and the volume is turned off. But it sounded like it came from behind me. That was very weird.
I'm so sorry. I kept thinking I'm like pressing the mute button, and I think I was turning it up the whole time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, opposite.
It's a good thing we're not doing Soul School instead of a World Awakening, because when these things happen in Soul School, I'm sorry you have to go to detention for a little while. And although I've never sent Jeff to detention. I've never sent Jeff to detention. Not that he hasn't deserved it from time to time.
Jeff.
We have a wonderful, it's interesting too, because anybody that's watching this show tonight and just finished watching Soul School is probably sitting there, wow, they're talking about a lot of the same things,
Oh, geez.
Yeah, we are. We're talking about the whole notion of suffering is sanctuary, and the grief causes us to evolve. We talked a lot about empathy for other people, and it's a wonderful aspect of the paranormal. I tell people all the time when I open, I used to anyway, when I used to lecture. No, there's nothing. See, there's nothing. There is nothing. Well, you know what? I'm going to take that back, because it could be something. My mother could have just popped in for a moment.
I was going to say.
Well, you would know. You let me know if my mother just popped in and why they're acting the fool. But the thing that's most interesting to me about this is that I find, by and large, the happiest people I know are obsessed with death. But it's not that we're obsessed with death. It is that, that it might seem that way. Excuse me. Excuse me. Stop that. It's they're obsessed with life.
Yeah.
And the afterlife. And
exactly.
loving life so much that they want to make sure that it goes on some way, somehow, in some form. That's the most important thing, is that this isn't the end all be all, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, that there is something beyond our mortal existence. And that's why I think paranormal people are the most interesting and the most inquisitive, fascinated. And that curiosity is a driving force that often stays with them lifelong. Yeah. So it's so we need to get together. Bill lives up in your neck of the woods.
Does he?
Yeah, he's
oh my gosh
in New York too, up in the frozen tundra. You people are nuts living there on purpose. But
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I hate the cold.
From Rhode Island, okay? So believe me. But yeah, he's telling us we only have 3 minutes left, and now we probably only have 2 minutes left. But I would love to have you back on, and we will maybe even bring George on for laughs, and then what we'll do is we'll get like halfway through the show and just
kick him out.
And kick him out. Yes. Nobody out there who knows George, tell him that this happened, that this little conspiracy was not concocted. Oh, Bill, you're going to rat me out. You're going to rat me out.
I know for George, but I will say this. Alex, I'm going to see if I can get you to the Pine Bush Paranormal and UFO Museum to do a presentation.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I have the insight on that.
Yeah, he does.
So,
all right.
Yeah, you need to buddy up with this guy. He's your neighbor.
Well, she's in Western New York. She's a little far from me. I'm in the Hudson Valley, so she's a few hundred miles to my north and west.
Oh, it's just around the corner. I live in Georgia, for God's sake. It's a half an hour to go to the grocery store.
She's like, come on now.
That much, right, Alex? It hasn't. It really hasn't. Not here, at least. Maybe you're by the lakes. That's different, but not here.
What was that? Snow? We got snow the other day again, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
It's 55 degrees here right now, so I don't want to say anything. But
and yet you did say it, and yet you actually said it out loud.
And
I mean,
taunting.
I mean, I've got 44 degrees right now. I'll take it.
Exactly. But I want to remind everybody, in the show description, you can find all the links to Alex's pages, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Everything's there in the description. And you both were wonderful tonight. And Alex, like she said, it's always a pleasure to have you back in the future.
And
I really appreciate that. Thank you both.
See you later. And stay in touch, because I'm going to work on that for you.
Yeah, and he will.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll give you his personal phone number.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
All right, ladies, because we got to wrap.
Love you all. Be the light you seek. Be the light you seek in this fucked up world. Be the light. Love you.
Have a good night, y'all. Thank you.